Hello, good afternoon. Hi, my name is Elio Ticca, and I'm speaking from my flat/studio in Brussels, where I decided to move after changing 4 studios in Brussels, given the precariousness of artist studios. Just that I decided to merge my living space, my atelier. So I live in city center, and just I turned a flat into working space. Sometimes it's not super easy, but I've been enjoying it so far. I just decided to paint also some walls. I'm gonna show you some works that I've made in the last few years. And I'm primarily a painter. I work with still lifes, architecture. I kind of avoid the human figure, but slowly I will be introducing it in my paintings. I consider still lifes an opportunity to work with everyday objects and landscape painting at the same time, with everyday objects that I find in my studio, in my flat, and I work first with photography and then with oil paint. So I'm gonna show you some recent works that I've done in the last few years, and I'm gonna give you a quick tour, and then I will be continuing painting a small still life that I'm preparing. So here we go. I take my phone, I'll give you a quick tour. So here on this wall, I've made some few paintings in the last year, very different ones, for an exhibition that I made in Brussels in a gallery, La Peau de l'Ours. It was a very Brussels-based exhibition made during COVID time, during 2020 and 2021. I chose to represent some architecture, one of my favorite views of Brussels. Here, maybe some of you might recognize Villa en Pin, Fondation Bogossian in Brussels. It's an Art Deco villa turned into a museum. They organize contemporary shows, and I decided to paint after a photo made in 2017 of an exhibition when an artist from France, Daniel Gurin, did an installation in the windows. All these colored stained glass-like windows, now they're gone, but I decided to represent them in the painting. And actually, I added some surrealist elements. I'm gonna show you at a closer distance. So in the swimming pool, there's a beautiful swimming pool, and I decided to paint some fried eggs that look like little eyes at the same time. I painted a little pupil at the center of the yolk, so all these little eggs look like eyes at the same time. Well, here we go. I'm gonna show you. Sorry, I'm gonna keep the camera as straight as possible. And I'm gonna show you another painting that I've done for the same exhibition. This is called A Man After Midnight. It's a small painting, 50 by 40, of actually my facade. Actually, the facade that I see from my window. And it's just a random image of a hand, just an everyday just an everyday moment of somebody smoking a cigarette. But then you have all the nails, somewhat super polished with nail polish. They're somewhat flying in the air. There's kind of a sort of magic moment, like Spider-Man, but instead of the spider webs, you have just these random nails flying in the air. So it was like a very COVID-related somewhat exhibition, like I was confined at home for a very long time. So I decided to really work from home, literally, and somewhat referencing what I see from here. This other work, it's called Scylla and Charybdis, after 2 mythological monsters of the Odyssey that somewhat trapped Ulysses and his companions, and somewhat this was somewhat the psychological feeling I had during COVID, especially in 2021, and I decided to represent a bed, well, my bed, and with a little book that is burning somewhat. It's like a diary that's somewhat empty, with a story going on at the same time. And then I added all this barbed wire going through the bed as a sort of battlefield of an everyday image, just a random, ordinary image, but somehow becoming something else. And here on the side, you can see two older works from 2017. It's after Giovanni Battista Moroni. He was a painter from 16th century Italy. He was very realistic, and he painted all the aristocrats and the bourgeois of his time with these very rich costumes, everyday dresses, very colorful but also dark at the same time. And this is a series after plagiarism, fakeness somewhat, and fake, because I referenced the original paintings, but I then added some contemporary logos, contemporary to us. Like here you can see a couple the shoes. You have the Onitsuka Tiger logos, but it's a little bit altered. Instead of 2 lines, I added 3 lines. It's somewhat a fake, very subtle fake. It's not really, it doesn't jump to the eye, but this other one, it's called the Allegory of Virtue. It's, well, you can recognize Adidas. And this work has been made, actually, I decided to choose a Adidas logo after these 3 lines that are clearly Adidas, but they were also in the original painting in Italy, in Milan, in a beautiful museum, Paul di Pezzoli. And so on the other side, here we go. I'm gonna show you a third painting of the series. It's called The Keys of Heaven, and it's made after another painting by Moroni. It's a very rich lady, actually a poet of the time, but all the paintings are full-length figures. Now, for the series, I decided to highlight the dresses, the rich dresses that Moroni carefully painted, and here I added 2 contemporary logos again, Gucci and Chanel, but they're reversed. So the G was a C and vice versa. The logo really resembled each other, and I decided to swap them. So one is a fake of the other, and I wanted to make this like glass-looking sculptures that mean nothing and everything. They're recognizable by us, but they're very contemporary to us. But there's kind of a mismatch of the dress and the logos that somewhat create sort of a paradox of these different references of art history and contemporary lifestyle. And here we go. So I'm gonna show you also a wall paint that I've made a year ago. This is like a sunset. It's actually the house faces this way. It faces the west. So the idea was to make a sunset on this side, and on the other facing wall, sunrise. But eventually I decided to make a daylight sky on the other side. And then I put a big mirror in front of it, in front of the sunset. Here we go. I painted just a very clear sky, and then you have this big mirror that reflects the sunset on the other side. It's a little bit, I have to find the right position, but there you are. And actually the light changes a lot, the colors changes a lot depending on the light outside. So, well, it's a work in progress, and now I'm gonna just stick my phone to a little corner and just I keep painting what I've been painting. Just it's a small still life after just random objects that I found at home. You have like some chocolate and Let me see if the light allows us to see a little bit more. And yeah, here we go. You see just little plates in shape of shells, and then a little eye just in the middle of. Oops, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, just a small eye in the middle of, in between the chocolates. So here we go. I'm gonna put my phone here and I just keep painting. Right. I work after photos, so I try to be as faithful as possible to the original. And it's really hard. I work after Photoshop at the same time. It's well, I try to go back and forth with photography, with the original photo, to be as accurate as possible. And I usually work with 3-4 layers with oil paint. It's a little bit long. It's a very long work, but I try to be as accurate as possible to get a good result. So the light is not great. Maybe here you can see a little bit better. Here we go. So here we go. Now this is the 3rd layer. I'm gonna work on the 4th now, and yeah, still a lot of work to do. There we go. So now I'm gonna tuck the little cup with some coffee still. And the trickiest thing is to really find the grays, because I'm now working with black, so I'm finding the grays with blue and brown, and sometimes to find the right combination is not super easy. So here we go. Let's see if this shade. No, it's too blue. I'm gonna add a little bit more brown. Let's see if it works now. It's not a given. There we go. Just a transparency. Yeah, maybe it's too gray. I'm gonna add a little bit of white. Let's make it lighter. Here we go. I work with very smooth linen, and this helped me a lot to get a good result eventually, because I really like the smoother surface, so this allows me to paint easily on transparencies, somewhat also to get this porcelain effect with the final result. Also, my goal is to somewhat hide painting, because working after photography and somewhat working with trompe-l'œil, it's very challenging, but the result, it's I want to get a photographic result eventually, so I want to be well, photographic at the same time. But to me, painting is just it's not the end, it's not the goal. My aim is to somewhat think with painting, so that's why I want to. Somebody asked me, why don't you work with photography, and that's it. But to me, painting is so beautiful that somewhat of course, I have strong emotions with painting, with photography, sorry, but I love painting, so I keep doing it. I know it might be very challenging, painting beyond beyond painting somewhat, but let's keep doing it because painting is very beautiful. So here we go. Okay, now we got the right value. Let's see if maybe I can make a little nuance as well. Once you have a good canvas, good linen, and good brushes, then everything is easier. You just have to keep just doing what, just to work, and that's it. Okay, so in the cup, I have somewhere brown tones, so I'm gonna add a little touch of brown, and here we go. I'm gonna make it darker a little bit. Also, the challenging thing is to find the some of the mid-tone first, and then work with dark tones and lighter tones afterwards. And also keep in mind that white is the lightest color we have, so everything has to be somewhat, everything has to be done according to what we have. Here we go, it's a little bit too brown, I'm gonna add a little touch of blue. Now the contrast gets higher. And so, yeah, you get more depth. Here we go. So let's make it on the other side. Also, the hardest part of this painting is just to make a round shape. It's super duper difficult. That's why I help myself. Photoshop helps me a lot because I usually use a photo as a starting point, and I copy the photo, but then I take a photo of the painting and I overlap it on Photoshop, and I see where the different silhouettes and lines touch each other, so I can make the corrections with that. Okay, let's see. Let's come back to the original image, and here we go. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's go. Oh gosh, this painting is very difficult, but can't wait to finish. And then eventually I will add some disturbing elements to the composition. Let's see if, or maybe just will be happy with this. Let's see. Okay, now we'll have to get a smoother brush to make a nuance. There we go. Okay, also the trickiest part with oil paint is to understand what to mix before and after. So somewhat like all the time it's like a chess match. You would have to understand what move to make first. So in this case I have a little spoon, so first I will have to paint the shadow of the plate, and then work, do the spoon at the very end. So we'll make some, we'll highlight the shadow first, and then the very last thing to do is a spoon. So, somewhat tricky. Okay, where are we? I got somewhere great here. And in order to make nuances, you would have to have the paint very fresh or the same all the time. So you have to make the different colors anew, so you can blend them all together. It's easier this way. So I'm working with the highlights on the plate. So white is still the lightest color we have. So let's okay, let's add the lighter value here. And then everything is relative to the neighboring colors. It will change everything. If it's too dark, I'll make it a little lighter. Here we go. I love this green and white. And also white is like the color that allows us to make corrections and to somewhat erase some mistakes here and there. Here we go, let's add another gray tone. So everything will be deeper, will look deeper. A little bit of medium. I usually use just oil as a medium, but more recently I discovered a new medium which is eco-friendly, somewhat with no smell, that is more liquid than oil. And it's really good, but still somewhat the thickness of oil, it's somewhat hard to replace. So yeah, I think I will go back with oil after for the next painting. There we go. Okay, just a lighter tone here. Okay, and actually this plate is a bit more blue, so we got just a bluer tone. So let's see how much time we have left. Okay, just a few minutes. Wait, I'm gonna show you the painting a little bit from a closer distance. Here we go. So yeah, I've just worked on this little cup. It's really hard. It's really challenging. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, just this little, I don't know if you can see, the brush strokes are still pretty visible, and then all the nuances, they're the more challenging thing of this little painting. I'm gonna show you. Here is a picture, that reference. Here it is. It's very challenging. The palette is very limited. Somewhat you just have tones of browns and just gray tones and a little touches of colors here and there. I actually used this table that I used for that. It was just there were random objects on it, and then I found, okay, this might be interesting. Just after a cup of tea, cup of coffee actually, and some chocolates here and there, and yeah, here we go. Actually, there was also a pencil. I was just doing some sketches, and then well, it was just actually a random image, and just decided to use this photo as a starting point. But I usually work after all these still lifes, and then I add or I remove different objects in order to make it a little bit more mysterious or surreal, somewhat with a sort of magic realism going on. But yeah, let's see where I will go after this. I'm thinking of integrating the human figure more consistently, so these COVID landscapes will disappear somewhat. The human presence is still here. You have somewhat a human presence, just a random cup of coffee. Somewhat everything is forgotten, like all people are gone. But yeah, let's see how I will proceed in the next few paintings. Just a few minutes. Okay, I'll keep going with that. Let me see. Okay, I think I will go later with that cup. But yeah, we have to work with that wet painting. I think it's very important to make the nuances as soon as possible, so everything is kind of down somewhat, and then we would have to stop, otherwise we will continue with the same painting for this year. Okay, so let's make a middle here. I still love this stage because now I'm just working with transparencies, the glassy. So let's see if somewhat I can finish. So there we go. So let's blend this part as well. Okay. The most difficult thing is to have circular movements, to be precise, especially with geometric shapes. With perfect shapes, it's super difficult to get a good result. So yeah, there's a lot of work. But yeah, Photoshop will help. Please feel free to use it because it's a good, it's a very useful tool we have. Then I go on top of the little spoon because it's the very last element to paint, to work on. So yeah, I will do it later on. And let's see if this brush is good enough for the nuances. Okay. That's the last minute to go. Well, thank you very much. It was super nice to share this moment with you. So good luck with all the artists that will come after me.